Percussion Axiom TV. My name is Tom Burritt, and I am your host. This is episode number 80. Today, a little bit different format today. As maybe some of you know, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and when you grow up in Buffalo, New York, there are two very important things. Football, and we won't go there, and hockey. We won't go there either. While we have a somewhat dismal history of some decent teams, but some very bad outcomes, the fever of sports, especially those two, lingers very strongly in Buffalo, New York. And as many of you know, I don't live in Buffalo anymore, nor have I since I was about 18 years old. But I still follow the teams, and this time of year, of course, everybody knows, right, is NHL hockey playoff time. And while the Sabres have had not such a great year, they still made the playoffs. So, you know, trying to watch hockey in Texas is practically impossible, especially NHL, especially Northeast teams. So, in my effort to try to catch some of the playoff action, I signed up for sort of a trial for NHL Game Center, which basically allows you to watch games on demand, no matter where the market. It's very cool. You can watch it on your iPad, computer, Roku box, which I was doing the other day. So, it's all internet-based. It gives you the option of listening to the home team, announcers versus the away team announcers, which is awesome because the Buffalo guys, Van Miller, is kind of famous and hysterical and awesome the way he commentates on games. So anyway, watch the first game or two, and they do a condensed version. So if you don't want to sit through the whole game, you can see just the good parts, the fights, and the goals, which is great. So this is a great product that NHL has done. And they've also been hugely active in the social media space as well, and have a somewhat successful campaign that way as well. So I went to watch the game. I guess it was just a few days ago, Sunday, and I spent $20 on this trial. It's $80 if you want the whole thing. So it's not it's fairly expensive. I went to watch the game on Sunday, and it was blacked out. And, I should have read the fine print, I suppose, before I signed up. So that was sort of my bad. But come to find out that because the game was on Versus, which is a cable network that probably hardly anyone knows about, because they had a deal with Versus, which is a channel that I can get through Dish Network, which is my TV provider. Because I could get it through that, it was blacked out through NHL Game Center, so I couldn't watch it. So here I am shelling all this money out to watch exactly what I want, and I can't get it unless I upgrade my Dish subscription, of course, to include the cable channel Versus. So this made me very frustrated. Not just because I'm a sports fan and I love Buffalo hockey and but because I feel bad for the NHL because there was a lockout a couple of years ago, a strike, and they lost their TV coverage and their TV contracts, and so out of desperation and having zero leverage, they probably got in serious bed with the cable and the major networks, saying that there's no way for you to offer your content if we're carrying one of your games in any other way than through our network. So I get it. They were in desperation at that point of really being in trouble, and they needed the revenue, and maybe they're better off right now. But I propose that, and I really think strongly that they're in trouble now, because 2 or 3 years ago when they made these big deals with the networks, the iPad didn't exist, right? This ability for people to watch via Roku box didn't exist. All of these new technologies didn't exist, and they sold all of their rights, or many of their rights, away to these big companies. And that used to be the only way they could make money. But now I think they're realizing through their social media presence, their investment there, offering this NHL Game Center, which is at best incomplete. I mean, if I can't watch every single game, I'm not going to spend it. So I called them and said, sorry, I can't spend $80 for this. And they were like, yeah, we know. I actually talked to them on the phone, and they said, yeah, we're having trouble with this, and we didn't know we had these capabilities 2 years ago. But now they do. Now they can bring the product straight to someone like me who grew up in Buffalo, who lives in the middle of Texas, and who can't get the games any other way. But they can't offer it completely because they've sold their rights away. So today's axiom is that. How does this apply to musicians? Well, it's very simple. These technologies are allowing niche artists, and I've written about this on Drum Chatter many times, and probably addressed it on PATV too, You know, when you these niche artists like us, percussionists, drummers, you know, anybody that's in a smaller network like this, you have to own your stuff. You have to have control. You can't give up control. And, you know, unless it's some absurdly huge deal that, you know, someone else is paying you just unbelievable amounts of money, so they, you know, have complete control. They pay for you to record. They pay for everything, but then they own it, and you don't have control. And you know, for some big artist, maybe that's better. It probably is, but that's very, very small percentage handful. For a niche artist, you have to have that control, and I think NHL really wishes now that they had that control, because they have this capability of delivery that they didn't have before, that cuts out the middleman altogether. So I think, as you know, musicians, it's so cheap to make CDs these days, to record CDs. You know, it didn't used to be that cheap, right? It was very expensive, and you needed middlemen to deliver your product or to record your product or whatever. Now we can do it, and even if we have to hire someone, we can hire someone at a fraction of the cost, or we can just do it ourselves. Okay, so that's today's axiom. It's really about control. I've heard many stories already, music labels that are crashing. A very good friend of mine, who I won't mention, had to spend almost $20,000 to get his solo marimba recording back, because the label that was which was once very, very well known and very famous, folded and said, well, even before they folded, they said, we're not selling enough of these, so we're not carrying it anymore. And if you want it, you got to pay us 20 grand. Right? I mean, how in the magic, even this person is not going to be able to make that 20 grand back. I mean, there's just no way, right? In this little niche artist thing. So own your stuff. It's very, very important that you have control over it. The method of delivery is changing by the minute, literally. And in a year or two, even more, 5 years from now, it's going to be totally different even. It's going to be even easier. I think it's swinging, the pendulum is swinging back towards the niche artist. So, publisher, it's the same thing. If you're writing music, many more composers are offering their music on their own websites because they can, and now they have options. So anyway, as a niche artist, self-marketing, owning your stuff, have control of your stuff. I think it's so very important. So anyway, I just really felt like that. I was really bummed about the NHL Game Center thing. I wanted to keep it so bad, but I just couldn't justify the cost of not having full, you know, access to what I really was paying for. And there was nothing they could do. They were totally, you know, out of options at that point. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this helpful. I'm curious what you guys thought. So leave your, you know, leave your comments or your questions or your own observations in the chatter section with the link below. All right, thanks you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.